Welcome to Bears on Tap, hosted by Kyle Juice Michalski, Quinten Q Krzysko, Sonny Verma, and the one and only Ron Luce. Bringing you all the news, analysis, and opinions on the charter franchise, Chicago Bears.
And we are back. We are Bears on Tap. My name is Quinten Krzysko. I am joined by Sonny Verma. We are here to preview the Bears' home game matchup this Sunday with the New England Patriots. See if they can keep this home winning streak going. Sorry, I said winning streak. Weird thing for Bears fans right now because they are in a home winning streak despite like the worst two games we could possibly imagine just happening. But Sonny, how are you doing this evening?
A little more nervous than I should be when your team is going up against a team that's 2-7. But I think that's just kind of the mood of the entire fan base and not just me. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a tough time right now. Like sitting here and you're going, the Bears are 4-4. This should be good, but it doesn't feel that way. Like with the hardest schedule in the NFL the rest of the way, like by most metrics, and after this game, it's not going to get any easier. This is probably the easiest game they have left the rest of the season. Like you're sitting there looking at the schedule going, it's a lot of good opponents, and we haven't really played that many on that caliber yet.
And that's where the uneasiness comes from, right? Like this is a game, if you take a look at our next batch of games, like we have to win this one because we're already struggling, obviously, over the last 2 weeks, 2 losses in a row. We're on a losing streak. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say it fire burning, in Hallis Hall, but there's a lot of smoke. I think it's fair to say. And if you lose to New England and you lose 3 in a row, and then you have this daunting schedule coming up, you really see the potential of disaster happening. And that's why, again, New England in itself is not a great football team, but right now, are the Bears a good football team? I think that's what we're going to talk about.
It's a good question. I think I want to jump into that question a little because, there's always a difference between a good team on paper and a good team on the field, right? Like this past Sunday, I tweeted something out during the game of like, just despair. Like, I'm broken. And like talking about how the Bears are losing for the second straight week to a team who I think is less talented than them. And that tweet got a little heat from people going, less talented. Like, Cardinals have the same record as the Bears after that game. The Commanders had a better record in that game. I don't think the Bears were even favored in either of those games. But from a on-paper perspective, I think the Bears were definitely the more talented football team. Now, what they do on the field is different than the talent to me. That's, there's, I guess when you look at it from like draft prospect perspective, there's talent and there's skill. Talent is just that is how good you like the quality of the player, the quality of their ability to actually do athletic things and play the sport. But skill is more refined, right? I think of it as like skilled labor. Right. Skilled labor is a learned thing. You learn to be a master welder. That's a skill. It's not about ability. It's about the time, the effort, the experience. And that's where I think like the Bears are not a skilled football team right now. They're a talented team, but it doesn't equate to skills. So there's like different aspects that I need to think about with that. And so on paper, talent wise, yes, the Bears are a good football team. But we don't see the results. We don't see that skill come through during the games. And I'm questioning when we're going to start to see that.
It's one of those things where you can be a prodigy, but should you not have the right mentor, in your life, like eventually those gifts, like the rest of the world catches up to them, right? If you're a fantastic quarterback in high school and you want to play in the NFL, you probably want to go to where Lincoln Riley's coaching, because he's going to develop you into a fantastic quarterback. But if you go to a school that, like Iowa, where they don't necessarily, develop quarterbacks, then all of a sudden, whatever prodigy, whatever talent you have, you're not maximizing it. And I think that's what that's your point overall, that the Bears team, while talented, it may not be maximizing that talent. And, we all have our opinions on where the blame for that's going to be attributed. But, again, this is another team this week that I think, fits in with the same idea that I think we're better than, but you can hear the uneasiness in my voice. That doesn't mean that it's going to translate into a victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good way to put it, and I think one of the best ways to put it, because even from the talent versus skill that we're talking about, like also just the want to for this team right now seems to be lacking, and I want to get. I want to narrow down into that a little bit more of like DJ Moore. A lot of DJ Moore stuff coming out right now,
Yeah.
right? Like we see him go on the score and they ask him, has Matt Eberflus lost the locker room? And his response is, I want to say no, which is that's a flag all around. But then a little later that same day, starts taking a bunch of heat online about his route. Caleb starts scrambling. He just walks out of bounds and goes and sits down on the bench. Like, what do you think of that, Sonny?
I want to sit here and give him the benefit of the doubt, because it's not like this is like something that's followed him through his entire career. But, earlier on in the season, when people were pointing out, pictures of him on the bench, not involved with his teammates and whatnot, at that point I had his back. I was like, come on, like, it's not, I'm not looking too much into that. It's not a big deal. But the fact that it seems like we have to have a different DJ Moore conversation every single week now, it's unfortunate, because the guy just got paid, right? He was just given the biggest contract that the Chicago Bears have ever given out. So you would think that with that sort of commitment given to you by a franchise, that you would feel more initiative to be a positive influence in that locker room. You're not going anywhere for a while. You're kind of one of those captains that's going to be in charge, of the culture, the atmosphere, what everyone in that locker room is feeling like. And it's not like he doesn't know that these questions aren't being answered to him every single week when he goes on the radio here and there. I don't know if it's just he's purposely, kind of realized himself that he doesn't have much faith in this coaching staff. But even if that's the case, he's 100% going about it in the wrong way. And it's just unfortunate, because if this is how he's like with the media, I wonder what happens in private conversations that he might be having with, players that he's close to in that locker room. I'm not insinuating anything. I clearly don't know. But walking off the field, I kind of understand. And when I originally saw the play, I thought the same thing. Like, hey, he probably stepped out of bounds. He's getting out of the way. So Caleb isn't, doesn't want to throw it to him. But the radio interview afterwards, and that answer that he gave, for me, it was just like, it was me shaking my head and knowing that we would probably talk about it here on Bears on Tap. And it's just like, it was such an unnecessary, just say, no, Coach Flus, we have his back. He has our back. We're excited about moving forward. We're playing division games. There's a lot of season left, all that. There's so many PR 101 responses that he could have given, and he didn't. And it's just disappointing.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I can't help, like, I'm seeing all this, and it just, what happened? Something happened within this locker room that changed stuff for this entire team. It feels like at some point this year, within the sometime between England and now, something pretty drastically changed with this team, and the way that they're communicating with each other, the way that they're communicating with the media about the season. And it's like, I just want to know what occurred, what led to all this, because it's not normal. We're sitting at this point where it's like, the trust was lost somewhere. And I don't think it's as simple as trust was lost between a receiver and a quarterback or something. The way that stuff is kind of unraveling from it feels like every aspect of the Bears roster. I think there's a serious disconnect between the players and the coaches right now. And I don't know what led to it. And I don't know if we'll ever find out what led to it. I'm sure, if it's really that ugly, there might be like books written about it or something. Who knows? But like, or like a large expose article, like tell all about it, might come out in like a year or two. But it feels to me like there was a pretty major culture shift in this locker room that happened really quickly, which screams to me something happened, and it all started unraveling from there.
My thinking is like, should we lose this game? Ryan Poles is going to be under a lot of pressure to make some sort of changes. And obviously the report came out that it doesn't look like Eberflus is going anywhere. Not that the Bears fire anyone mid-season anyway, but if Ryan Poles makes a move like getting rid of Shane Waldren, and then the 670 The Score invites DJ Moore, hey, what are your thoughts on Shane Waldron leaving? Well, then you wonder if he's going to be as open about it. And maybe he kind of leaks like, yeah, there were some issues, I think a change there was the right decision. And, maybe that's how we're going to find out a little bit more about it. Obviously, he can't say anything right now because it's his offensive coordinator. And I'm not even insinuating that it is, but, it's... You're right. Something is up, and it's not just him. I feel like it's that entire entire offense post bye week just seems like they're confused, they're disorganized. We're getting penalties. What it is, I don't know. We may have to wait till the end of the season, or we may just have to wait for a personnel change for someone to kind of open up and let us know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I have a theory that part of it could be, Waldron they were trying to do a lot early in the year. And there was a team meeting about dialing it back. And they dialed it back. And coming out of the bye, it felt like he hit the gas again. So I wonder if there might have been some trust loss there. But even that doesn't feel like enough to be, because I feel like trust was lost on both sides of the football, but like something that goes all the way up to head coaching where I can't put my finger on what it is. I can't quite figure it out. A part of me looks at, Jaquan Brisker missing his 5th straight game with a concussion. That, or 5th straight week, I guess, because there was the bye in there. But that screams something loud to me, like of what happened there when Roschon Johnson had essentially the same type of thing happen last year. Is there a lost trust in there between the players and the coaches of putting them in safe positions? I'm not sure. Maybe that was just a rough concussion for Brisker and it's that simple. But with how many injuries are up and down this roster, I'm starting to almost wonder too. Do these guys not trust their coaches in practice? Do they not trust that they're being protected or practicing in a way that is going to keep them healthy and able to keep earning money out there? I don't know. I'm spitballing here. I'm just throwing out theories because like I'm racking my brain trying to figure out like how does it get this bad this fast out of seemingly nowhere, and that's what I'm coming up with right now.
Well, the thing is, the reason we're spitballing is because the team is not doing anything about it. Right? If this was a Bill Belichick team, if this was even a Sean McVay type of team, like, they would address whatever's going on in the locker room. I have very little faith that Eberflus may not even realize something is going on. He just seems like a very laid back, nice guy. And even if he did, I don't know if he knows what to do about it. We don't have that strong leader in charge where he can, all of a sudden he can recognize that, hey, there's an issue here. Let's get the parties that are involved to sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's fix this. I think that's why we're having this conversation, because we don't know. We don't have a hint. It seems like, the players are very like out of the side of their mouths, like saying something without actually saying it. And that's what's kind of leading to this speculation that you and I are having seemingly every week on Bears on Tap.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you have, I'm almost thinking like I'm trying to, where I'm trying to go is Tevin Jenkins is playing through like 5 different injuries right now. And I just can't help but wonder again, like maybe there's something with the training staff there. Like the training staff is not preparing these players and they don't feel like they're in a position. To me, it feels like players are in a spot where they're going, I don't trust my ability to keep making money with the way things are going here, and the way to be put in a position where I'm going to be safe and able to showcase myself without putting myself at risk. Like maybe that's wrong. Might be random. That's with the way injuries are happening on this team. That's where I'm ending up at with it.
Yeah. Again, we just don't know. We just need these guys to get healthy. A win here and there. I genuinely think a win against New England can turn things around, give our guys a little confidence, Caleb a little confidence going into, that tough divisional schedule that we have. There's no breaks once that part of the season starts. This is essentially our last, I hesitate to say easy, but this is probably the last game that we're going to be favored in for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
I think I saw it's the largest spread that the Bears have been a favorite in since 2021.
I mean, I don't know about you. I know you have your own show where you do these picks, but I think it's ridiculous that to make I don't know if I would take the Bears plus or minus 6.5 against my high school team at this point. University of Illinois, who I cover. For me, it's just I think there's so much. They're unsure, and I just don't think there's confidence in that locker room, and that's going to be unfortunately, one of my biggest bets of the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not touching it because it's like 6.5 to me is the perfect number to pull Bears fans into betting it and scare off Patriots bettors. So like because at that number, I'm sitting here going, man, you're telling me that the Bears win by a touchdown, I'm winning money, and I look at the talent difference here, I'm like, that feels like at least a 50-50 proposition. And in betting, you're looking for margins, right? You're looking for 52% propositions. Like, so you're talking about, you're sitting there at 50-50, maybe up to 55% feeling good about it. It's like, okay. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't like that number, but man, I don't even have the hook for the Patriots. Like, I can't even get, if they lose by 7, I lose the money. Like that feels tough too, especially for a Patriots offense that I don't trust to score a lot of points. Like so to me, 6.5 makes a lot of sense for this game because it puts me in a spot of like, I just don't want to touch it.
Like I would have taken 6.5 2 weeks ago, or going to the bye week, I would have taken 6.5.
I think honestly, 2 weeks ago, this is a 7.5 point line.
Yeah, even after the Commanders game, I still think the Bears played okay. The defense held up their end of the bargain against the Commanders. The offense, you would think, would be able to score 20 plus points, which I don't know if New England can do. But after that debacle from last week, where really you don't score a single touchdown, and the offense just looked inept. Caleb looked bad. Komet didn't get a single target. I just don't think that you can spot another team a touchdown anymore with the Chicago Bears.
Right. I mean, like I said, I think I could argue either side of it, and that's why I think it's the right line, because it's like I'm not sitting here going licking my chops at it on either side. If I were gonna bet it, I'm probably taking an emotional hedge and taking the Pats. But like, truly, if the most interesting number to me, I think, is the over under. It's at 38.5, or it was 2 days ago, and that's like, I thought about taking the over on this one just because I felt like either the Bears offense simplifies stuff down, because Shane Waldren knows that if he goes down like this, he's not getting another offense coordinator position. He's going to struggle to get in there with even like an assistant OC or pass game coordinator title with the way stuff's going right now. So for his sake, he needs to simplify stuff down. He knows they need to find answers. So I believe that will happen to a degree, but also if it doesn't, and it does feel like the defense, the bottom might be kind of falling out on it for the Bears. If that's happening, then I trust the Patriots put up, 20 to 24 points. And I trust Caleb Williams to at least put up hopefully 14 to 17. So like at that point, I'm talking the over looks kind of nice. But if I'm betting anything, it's that. But this isn't a gambling show. Let's get to the injury report.
Can we just turn it into a gambling show? It's a little more.
We could.
I don't want to talk about this.
We could. Look at the injury report here. So we got Karan Amagaji looking like he's not gonna be available. Jaquan Brisker, we've been told, will not be playing this game. But Braxton Jones is looking like he's got a real shot to play this game, which is you need at least one of those two starters to play.
Right.
Darnell Wright, most likely out, I would assume, because he hasn't practiced yet this week. Kyler Gordon's been a limited participant 2 weeks in a row. So getting him back would be a nice boost for this defense. And then outside of that, like Terrell Smith, limited participant. So it looks like whatever his injury was last week, ankle, wasn't too bad. Montez Sweat back up to a full participant today. So that boasts really well. I would think that Sweat's back out there. And then you finally get Ryan Bates back to a full participant. Mm-hmm. I expect Bates to be starting this game at right guard. That's my thought. And you kick Matt Pryor over to right tackle because Darnell Wright's not going to be out there. And we don't want to see Jake Curran back out there because that's a game-wrecking player for the wrong reasons. Then Tevin Jenkins, full participant despite dealing with seemingly 5 injuries right now. So Tev's really trying to earn that money. When we look at it for the Patriots, safety Kyle Duggar hasn't practiced all week. We expect him to be out. Christian Ellis has not participated. I think I actually had him as a starter at linebacker. So that could be big if, we're down to the 3rd string linebacker there. But outside of that, they have a few limited participants, but nothing that usually if a guy is limited twice in the same week at this point, I feel like they're going to play. So I feel like that's their only 2 guys who are probably missing with Duggar and Ellis as far as that goes. So,
yeah,
I would say 2 pretty banged up teams here.
Right. That's what I was going to say. The Bears aren't exactly in the best shape, but neither are the Patriots. And they're missing a lot of key guys too. So, it's not a matter of, hey, we're a more talented team, but we're hurt. So our backups against their starters. No, it's a lot of our backups playing against their backups too. So we should still have the advantage on Sunday. Yeah,
I think so. But let's give our weather report before I forget to get that out. So home game, Sunday, it's high of 60 degrees. It's noon starts. You should be somewhere in the 50s by the time it kicks off. By the time it ends, we're talking 60s. Maybe a little rain. It says a 40% chance of rain. And 13-mile-an-hour winds. So little windy, maybe a little rain, getting a little chillier. It's just that time of year there. But I don't think it's going to be anything too disruptive as far as the weather goes from what I'm seeing. Which, the Bears have had pretty good weather luck so far this year outside of that hailstorm in the middle of the Arizona game where they conveniently left the roof open.
Can you imagine being told at the beginning of the year, hey, in one of these games, you're going to have a hailstorm? Arizona would literally be the last game that you would pick for an event like that to happen to. But that's just like a microcosm of what this Bears season has been, just completely random.
Yeah. But now that we've gotten through that, let's get to our first official segment of the show here.
The baddest man.
Sonny, who is the baddest man on the Patriots offense for you?
So I'm going to play with the definition of baddest. For me, it's the one. I'm going to be optimistic here. Okay. Obviously, the Bears coaches are looking at a lot of New England Patriots film this past week. And I sincerely hope that Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldren are seeing the way Van Pelt is utilizing Hunter Henry for Drake May and be like, hey, we should probably do that for Caleb. Hunter's just one of those guys. I think his last 3 games, he's had like 8, 5, and 7 receptions. Just a little safety net. A guy that Drake May knows like that, if his first read is gone and he's about to get blasted, I'll throw it to Hunter. So for me, Hunter's the guy to kind of get out of the game, because then you're forcing Drake May to, as a quarterback, make a play, which is kind of what you want to do, rookie quarterbacks. So for me, like, if there's one guy on offense to focus on, it's Hunter Henry.
I think that makes a lot of sense, largely just because I believe Drake May is one of the highest ranking quarterbacks for play action usage. Let's see here. So 18.9% of his dropbacks have been play action, which is amongst the quarterbacks who have played enough snaps. That's fairly low here. I thought I saw something that said he was near the top, but maybe it was like play action and screen and motion or something like that. But either way, I mean, their offense is kind of lacking for playmakers on the outside, and Hunter Henry is that reliable option for him. Like you said, that safety net that can be there and be a guy you need to cover up and if you can take him away, they start to really struggle to throw for first downs, I think. So I think that's a good choice for me. I'm going to go the opposite end of the spectrum here. I'm going with the guy who scares me the most, not from a usage standpoint, but from a single play embarrassing someone standpoint. And that's Demario Douglas, their slot receiver. This dude is shifty, man. Like, if you've never, this past offseason, when I was watching Patriots tape to get ready for the offseason series for Shaving Points, it was like I saw a few plays from him, and every time it was like, who the hell is that guy? Oh my God, he just took that guy out of his shoes. Like, Demario Douglas has jukes, man. He has jukes for days. He can take you out of your shoes, make you look really silly. So your ability to form tackle and wrap up on him, tackle through the football, is going to be important in this game when he has the ball in his hands, because he doesn't do it every game. Like I said, this is the guy who one play can embarrass you. But when he does it, he makes you look silly. So Demario Douglas is my baddest man. On the defense, I'll start this off where I'm going with Keon White. Or wait, I'm sorry, Sonny, who were you going to go with? Let me make sure. I got that messed up in my head. I know we talked about the other side of this pre-show, but I didn't. I got that mixed up.
No worries. I'm going with Marte Mapu. Basically, in the sense where their starters are out back there. And
wait, for baddest man or for nicest man? I was saying for baddest man.
Oh, bad. Oh, my bad. Yeah. Now we're both confused.
Yeah.
Baddest
both off
is easy. To me, I think he's their best player, and that's Christian Gonzalez. If they had 2 or 3 Christian Gonzalez's on that team, I'd be very worried come Sunday. I'm very grateful that they only have one. I think he's one of the best 5 cornerbacks in the entire NFL. And thanks for letting me go first on that one, because I think that's the easiest.
Yeah, well, it's so pre-show we talked about nicest man on the defense. And I was like, and that's what I had in my head. I was like, okay, I know what he's doing. I'm doing something different, so I'll just go ahead and keep rolling. And then I was like, wait, no, that was nicest man. We're talking baddest man. If he's gonna say Keon White, I can't take it. But so for baddest man, I'm going Keon White. Keon White is a house. I love Keon White. This dude is big, massive, strong, fast, and explosive as all get out. He was raw coming out of college. I believe it was Wake Forest, or maybe no, Georgia Tech. I think if he was Georgia Tech, same colors, different logo. But Keon White is a bad dude. He has 5 sacks on the year. He's over 30 pressures so far. He's just, especially going up against, I assume he's going to be going up against right tackle most of this game. So you're talking about him going up against Matt Pryor out there, who's a backup right tackle. You got boy Keon White in this game. Now,
yeah, I think they got two stars on that side of the field. And I think those are the 2 clear answers there.
Yeah, and to your guy Christian Gonzalez, like smooth as butter, man. That dude is, it's insane the way that he can move in man coverage and like mirror a route is just, it's wild. But now that we talked to baddest men, let's move on to the next one.
The nicest man.
Sonny, who's your nicest man on offense?
So I know you're not going to like me saying this because he's your guy, but understand the context of why I'm saying that. And also me acknowledging I may never be able to say this again. I'm saying Drake May here only because I think the Bears can get him to turn the ball over, because in previous weeks he's turned the ball over. He's become, he's a rookie quarterback, and sometimes he gets a little jittery and he makes the wrong play. I think the key for the Bears on Sunday is going to be grab a couple turnovers, get some good field position. Drake's getting better every single week, and now he's playing quality football with his legs. But my hope is that the easiest path for the Bears to win this game on Sunday is to force Drake to make a mistake, and so he's the guy I'm zeroing in on their offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's spicy, but I think it's a good one. I mean, because I can look at these numbers, like against Jacksonville, he had 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But then just this past week against Tennessee, only 206 yards, 5 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 4 turnover-worthy plays. He had 9 turnover-worthy plays in 4 starts. And when I think back to his college tape, I love Drake May, right? Like I was a big Drake May guy. I thought he was QB2. I think,
and again, I'm not saying that this is that he's a bust by any stretch of the imagination. I'm simply saying that on Sunday in particular, he's the guy who I think can lose the game for the Patriots, just because they don't really have many game breakers on the offensive side.
Yeah, I think it's a fair argument. This is the worst supporting cast for any rookie quarterback in my mind. And where I was going, I love Drake May, but he was a guy who I thought was going to need some talent around him and some time, because he has sprays, right? Like he has some wild misses all over his North Carolina tape. He had just some wild misses where you just said, where the hell did that come from? Like, where was that ball even going? How did that happen? And it's not like Will Levis level. Like Will Levis was like ultimate level boneheaded decisions on his college tape and his NFL tape. It wasn't like with Drake May, it was more like he's looking at this receiver, he's going to throw it, and it ends up 5 yards that way randomly. And it's like the rest of the tape is beautiful, but these like 5 throws in this game, I'm just like, what on earth was happening there? So to me, I think Drake May gives you some of those opportunities, especially if you can get an early lead. You're going to get some of that. Some of that comes back to his footwork, the repeatability of his mechanics, I think, but primarily his footwork. I think his feet, when his feet are off, the accuracy suffers. And I thought he was a guy who needed a year or two to really straighten out that footwork, which I don't think is that uncommon. I think a lot of the misses that we're seeing with Caleb are footwork related. The more I think about it and the more I see it, but Drake May's was more concerning at the college level to me than Caleb's. So I think from that aspect, your ability to get turnovers is probably a little higher against him. Now, for my nicest man on the offense, I have a pick'em of like any of the 4 offensive linemen that are in red here. Like, I mean, you could go former Illini great Vidarian Lowe. I think he's done outstanding for where he was drafted and everything in the NFL, but he's still not a very good left tackle. Michael Jordan is supposed to be somewhere on this O-line. It was kind of hard to straighten out who was going to be where on their O-line, because I believe Michael Onwenu is actually going to be playing left guard. I'm not sure who's going to be at right tackle, but so there's some questions here about who is going to be where. But ultimately, I mean, I'm going to have to go with Layden Robinson at right guard. Robinson was a guy I liked in this past draft. It's like a 4th round pick, maybe something like that. I think he went in the 4th or 5th round. Very athletic, very toolsy player, but very raw. Wasn't sure if he could start early in his career at all, hence the like 4th-round grade, 5th-round grade, somewhere around there. I think he's a guy who he can railroad you in the run game. But when you start asking him to drop and to pass protect and true pass sets and stuff like that, I think there's a lot you can take advantage of with him. So to me, Layden Robinson is the guy to attack in this game. Now, Sonny, on the defensive side, where are you going for your nicest man?
This is what I was referencing earlier. When you Mapu's the answer here for me, and it's just because their 2 starters back there are gone, right? And it's not like you have a natural safety back there playing. He's playing slightly out of his comfort zone. He's a guy that you're just going to have to attack. Caleb's got to recognize that. It's got to be like whatever read he's got on Mapu, he's got to take advantage of. This is what good quarterbacks do once they make it to the NFL. You find the weakest link. The guy who what he's supposed to do may not be coming naturally to him because he's not necessarily naturally playing back there his entire life. So that was the answer for me.
Yeah, I think it's a fair one too. I mean, so just for frame of reference here, Mapu is a 56 PFF grade for coverage, allowed 13 catches on 16 targets, 126 yards. So that's 10 yards per reception. And kind of like you said, Mapu was a bit of a hybrid defender coming out of college, right? Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Usually those guys are box safeties, right? But because he's being pushed into the starting role as a safety, not as like a dime safety, not as a nickel backer, not as one of those hybrid positions, but he's being forced to actually start because of injuries. I think you can cater some matchups to it. So I think that's a good pick. And I'm going across from him, Jalen Hawkins. I think very similar concept here. You're talking about a backup safety when you have 2 backup safeties on the field. I think those are guys you can generate matchups against. You can try to attack in matchups. You can try to get Romo Dunze or DJ Moore one-on-one with them and just say, hey, go win. These guys, they're not coverage machines. They're not on the same level as a guy like a Kyle Duggar or a Jabril Peppers out there. They're not that caliber of player. You should be able to win this matchup. So for me, just basically the nice man is you got to generate one-on-ones against these safeties. And whether it's Jalen Hawkins or Marte Mapu, I think you can take your chances. And Hawkins only been targeted 10 times so far this year. So maybe, I need to go back to the tape and see why he isn't getting targeted. But like, I just don't see a reason to really believe when I see his PFF grade here, when I liked him a little bit coming out of college. I remember his name, but I don't remember a whole lot about his game, which makes me think he's kind of just does a little bit of everything well, but probably isn't a guy here sitting there saying that's a coverage dude. You don't want to attack that guy. When you're a backup who I'm not feeling that way about, it's like, okay, attack him, make him prove why he's on this field. But now that we've talked through that, let's get to the next portion here.
Keys to victory.
And so for our keys to victory, I was actually telling Sonny pre-show, I've had a hectic work week this week, a lot going on. So I haven't actually been able to like fully process it. So we're doing more of a brainstorming session here. Sonny, starting off with you, where's your head at for a key to victory?
For this game, let Caleb Williams just be a rookie quarterback. Take care of the game for him. Yeah, talent-wise, like we should beat this team. Run the ball. They're not very good against the run. Go back to DeAndre Swift being one of the best players in the NFL at the running back position. Let him call plays where he gets to throw it to Cole Kmet. Make life easy as possible. Defense, you do what you've been doing for pretty much all season long. I think as long as the running game is there, if the defense is there, you're taking care of business and limiting, New England to, let's just say 13, 14 points. Just make life easy for Caleb. I really feel like last week, particularly, we kind of saw him trying to do too much. The stress level for him, like once they got down early, he tried to make plays that in 2 years he's going to know to throw it away and to not try. Again, this is a big confidence builder game. It has to be, because if it doesn't, then we're in trouble the rest of the year. And so for me, it's just make the game plan nice and easy. Don't make Caleb need to win the game for us, because we need his confidence level high, because down the road with the schedule coming up, there are going to be games that he's going to need to win for us. So we need him to feel like he can.
Yeah, I think that I like that one a lot. Just finding Caleb some easy buttons. Not everything needs to be a full field progression. Not everything needs to be 1 to 2 to 3. You can cut the field in half at times. You can bootleg him out, cut the field in half, just do a high-low read where he's just reading leverage and position and say, okay, 1 or 2, or run if 1 and 2 are both gone for some reason. But I mean, I think that that's something that's really missing from this offense right now, and goes a long way towards helping your rookie quarterback just breathe. Just have a minute where he's not having to process like a supercomputer out there.
It's one of those where, early in the year, when Jaden Daniels was throwing the numbers that he was throwing, everyone was, clapping for, but Bears fans kept trying to justify, saying, hey, the Commanders are giving Jaden a very easy game plan. Of course, like they're working to his strengths. Caleb, they're really throwing the entire playbook at him. Like, what he's been able to do with, all these options, like it's something that we're proud of and we're happy with, and saying, hey, what he's doing is actually more impressive. Let's not do that anymore. Let's just, for one game, a game that, again, we should win, let's go ahead, and if we need to limit the playbook a little bit, that's fine. But let Caleb find his rhythm again. Let him, set up some short passes by, or set up the long pass by just getting some dink and dunks in here. Let Komet get 15, 17 yards here and there. He should have minimum 5 catches on Sunday.
Right.
Because again, you need to build that relationship. Otherwise, why did you pay for Cole Komet? Why is he on your roster? To me, like, that's one of the things I'm most dumbfounded by on this team. So it's just, for one game, let Caleb just be a rookie quarterback. Stop putting all the pressure on him. He feels it, because he's that type of guy where he likes to take on, like, if he thinks the team needs him, he wants to step up. Let's just show him that for one game, the team doesn't need him. Just don't make any mistakes. Make the throws, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge, right, for an NFL offensive coordinator. I think it's something that we've seen quite a bit of in Chicago, of like the hubris, the overestimation of what you're going to be able to do. And you come into a seat, like, so much of what these guys do is installed in training camp, right? And it's like, if your plan in training camp is wrong, you end up in a really tough place, because you have a few hours a week on the field with these guys because of the practice limitations. And you're doing film study, you're doing group, like positions, full team talk. Like, their actual time on the field is pretty limited. So it's really hard to install new stuff in your offense that you didn't install in training camp, and you didn't at least touch on in training camp. So it's like, yes, the easy buttons are important, and I want to see them be able to hit some of them. But I'm almost starting to question, like, how much of this have they even talked about? Did they just say, we're ride or die? We are going with full field progressions all the time. And I hope that wasn't the case, but if it was, we need to be installing some easy buttons, because like it's too much. But I think it's really hard to put together a full game plan that takes it off of Caleb, because of what they want this offense to be and what they probably installed all off season. But that doesn't mean you can't build them in more than you have so far, and like be strategic about when and where you're using them, as opposed to when and where you're asking Caleb to do what. Because I think right now you're asking Caleb to do a full 4 quarters of stuff that he's probably not ready to be doing. And as much as I do think that's good for growth, I think some success is good for growth too. So you got to have the success built in there.
Yeah, and this may be its own separate, key to the game, but it's just like, make it simple in the sense where, okay, pre-snap, find out where Gonzo is,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If he's on that side of the field, then take a look at the opposite side. We just talked about their safeties. Their starters are gone. Just make it easy for him. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Like, I agree with you.
That's probably the better way to do it. Now that you say that, like that triggered something in my mind of like, the best way to build in easy buttons is probably just giving Caleb pre-snap kills that he doesn't have to share with anyone, but that he just like, if you got Gonzalez on Keenan Allen outside, that's done. He's no longer your first read. Your first read's now over here on the other side to either Rome or DJ or maybe Komet. Like, give him more matchup kills pre-snap, kills and cans. Like that's the whole like West Coast offense thing, right? You go up to line of scrimmage, you're either killing the play or you're saying you can do the play, but like you can give the quarterback some similar concepts of when you have this matchup over here, that's your new first read. When you have this over here, that's no longer in your progression, and just simple things like that. Because I think there is a lot of time where Caleb it's going 1 to 2 to 3, and it's like it doesn't. What makes veteran quarterbacks, really experienced quarterbacks, so good at this is their ability to eliminate pre-snap off of experience.
Yeah.
So maybe you just give the kid a little of the experience that you've seen and say, help get to the line of scrimmage fast.
Right. Yeah.
The mic's on until 20 seconds are on the clock. You get up there early. You can tell him his pre-snap kills. Like, that stuff is there. You can do that. And I'm sorry, I cut you off, Sonny. Were you still trying to keep going with that?
No. I mean, that was those were two of the things I was thinking about. It's just like, you know what? New England, they've got talent on the defensive end, but a lot of it is on the sideline this game. A lot of it is not playing. So, we know you have a potential all-pro on one side. And if I'm sitting here saying, hey, let's make the game easy for him, as you said, it's just maybe just make the decision for him, which is fine. Again, the idea is you need to win this game, and you need Caleb to, honestly, in my opinion, have one of those games where he's 21 for 28 with, 290 yards and maybe 2 touchdowns. Like, that, I think, is important for the season moving forward.
I agree. So the one other, so I'm thinking, so Caleb easy button is the first one. Then I think I was just through that. I get to the line of scrimmage fast, like give them time to process what's in front of them, to talk it through with him while he has you on the mic still. And then what was the defensive one that you said, Sonny?
Just throw it anywhere Gonzo isn't.
No, for the Bears defense. You'd mentioned the Bears defense early on too. It might have been just as simple as like just
just forced turnovers. It was literally just forced turnovers. Make Drake May make a decision. Take Hunter Henry out.
Okay, yeah, take Hunter Henry out.
That's what it was. Basically, Hunter Henry's his safety blanket. Take Hunter out of the game plan so that Drake May has no choice but to go in a different direction. And, you're going to have to force guys who aren't necessarily playmakers to make plays with a rookie quarterback. And that's, in my opinion, your recipe for a victory on Sunday.
Yeah, because I think I like that, taking Hunter Henry out, because you get Kyler back in there.
Yeah, that's my hope.
I trust all 3 of the Bears corners of man coverage in this game.
Yep.
You just got to shut down the middle of the field. I feel like you can play man coverage on the outside. You got good linebackers. You pay a lot for your linebackers. you can shut down Hunter Henry in this game. Some of that's come down to the run defense, making sure they're not ripping off runs, which is tough to do with Andrew Billings out, but like we'll see how they can manage that. I think that's a big part of taking Hunter Henry out of the game, because so much of his production is probably off of play action, off of him similar blocking looks to what he's given you already in that game. So we're going to hit that as one of our keys to the game. And the one that I'm thinking here, you need to force and this fits into the stop the run concept too, as ancient as that might sound, football guy, and like whatever you want to call it. But you need to force them into a true drop back offense. If you can take away Drake May's easy buttons, you can take away the play action and some of the motion and stuff that is going to, I guess not motion, but really it's play action. You can take play action out of it. I think you're going to be able to get some turnovers off Drake May, force them into a true drop back offense. Don't let them lean on the threat of the run to create separation. That'll add to your stopping Hunter Henry, and that will give you the chance to get your turnovers.
Yeah, I love it. It's when you have a rookie quarterback, even one as talented as Drake, they come with their own limitations, and all you want to do is make their life as hard as possible. And I think what you're saying would basically do exactly that. It's one thing when, if you have a Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet to throw to, but Drake May doesn't have that. You mentioned that earlier. He's got the worst supporting cast of all the rookie quarterbacks. And so he's the one that has to make the play. And so if he has to, can he? Sure, but make it hard as possible.
So we're going to get into our predictions here, but I usually base my score prediction off of a model that I run, just a DVOA based prediction of what the final score will be. And can you guess what it has the total at?
I'm just going to guess my total. So 30.
38.7. Right on the Vegas number.
Right on. Wow, Vegas.
But, Sonny, what are you thinking for final score here?
Again, I'm not comfortable saying this. I'm not confident in any sort of manner. I'm just going to be optimistic because we need a victory on Sunday. I think the Bears defense, if we're fully healthy, would give up less than single digits. We're not healthy. I really want to see what happens with Billings gone. Ultimately, I think the Bears do come out of their little funk with a 17-13 victory.
17-13. So I'm in a similar thought process. Like, I think the Bears are going to move the football well, but I think they might struggle to score touchdowns, if that makes it. Like, I think that you might get some goofy stuff in the red zones just because Shane Waldren, because there is some talent on this Patriots defense. So I'm thinking you're going to see like maybe 3 Bears field goals. So that's 9 plus. I'm going to say it's Bears 23. Patriots 16.
So barely over them.
17. No cover. Bears win, no cover.
Yeah. So we both have not covering. You have them barely over.
Mm-hmm.
And I have pretty comfortably under.
And the model says Bears 26, New England 13. But
I would take that as second. Please sign me up for that. Just
that is factoring in a bunch of stuff from early in the year that I don't know that we feel the same about. But
the smiles on our faces on the post-game report, if we have a nice and easy 26-13 victory.
Yeah, the ability to breathe. Which, hey, they win a game like that, it's a lot easier for a coaching staff to win their players back when they're winning than when they're losing. But that's another discussion for another day. But Sonny, do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Just win. Please just win this game on Sunday. Even if it's ugly, I get it. It's not going to necessarily make me feel confident about the rest of the schedule, but I'm mentally, for the last couple of years, I've always been like, just compete, but lose at the end because I want you to get the high draft pick, and that mattered to me. I'm sick of feeling like that. And now, like, we're already at 4 wins. Let's get to number 5. A victory is a victory. The last thing you want is to have 3 losses in a row going into the toughest schedule remaining in the NFL. Let's just get 1 win out of the way, get to 5, and then we'll just take it week by week.
I'm with you. I mean, I tweeted out a doom tweet on Sunday, of like, this is all brutal. It's terrible. It was so predictable. We all saw this coming with Matt Eberflus. Why would you have kept him? But they kept him. And you know what? My stance remains unchanged from they kept him. I hope he succeeds. The writing's on the wall with that. I wouldn't go to Vegas and make the bet that he's going to succeed, but that doesn't change what I want to have. That doesn't change my hope. My hope is that he succeeds. It all becomes, more manageable, less toxic within the Bears locker room, and he can reel this all back in and say, okay, we're going to be a good enough team this year, and we're going to show real strides offensively. Like, if Caleb Williams starts to do well in a Shane Waldren run offense, I start to become a lot more okay with Matt Eberflus being back next year. Maybe that's cope. Maybe that's all cope from the idea that, Matt Eberflus might be back next year either way, because that was put out there by Adam Rank, I believe, today. But if Caleb's doing well, I have a really hard time moving on from the guy who's doing well with, So to me, I just want to see Caleb do well. Right. I don't care if you win or lose right now, as long as Caleb is growing, Caleb is taking steps and showing us signs of things to come. And that's what it's all about for me right now. And that's all I really care about, because that's what the Bears Super Bowl window will rely on, is Caleb Williams.
And I'll probably agree with you there and piggyback on that thought if we lose against New England. There's the foolish side of me who still thinks that, we can compete and get to 10 wins, 9-10 wins, and, maybe sneak into the playoffs. But without this victory on Sunday, that's pretty much a near impossibility. So then my attention shifts to, okay, it's not happening this year. Just as you said, let's fixate on Caleb. Let's get Caleb ready to become that Super Bowl winning quarterback that we're going to need in a couple of seasons.
Yeah, and I mean, man, you think about the Texans last year. If you really want to get into some cope right now, Texans started 0-2, lost to the Ravens, expected, lost to the Colts, maybe not as expected. Beat the Jaguars, destroyed the Steelers somehow, and lost to the Falcons, beat the Saints, then lost to the Panthers week 8. Coming off a bye. The Panthers.
Yikes.
The team who earned the number 1 pick last year, they lost 13-15 against. To fall to 3-4 on the season. Come out next week, beat the Buccaneers in a high-scoring game. Beat the Bengals in a high-scoring game. Beat the Cardinals. Lose to the Jaguars, though. Jaguars weren't very good. I mean, I'm not going to go through every game from here on out, but like, it was a bit of up and down. And if you're into the cope, you look at the 2023 Texans last year and you say, okay, well, that's a path. Like, they beat a few good teams there. Bucks, Bengals, Titans, not good. Colts, Colts are weird. Like, are they good? Are they not? But their schedule wasn't as tough as the Bears down the stretch, is what I'm really trying to look at. I'm trying to think and compare them. But a few injuries happen late in the year. Suddenly, maybe it does look like a pretty similar schedule. Nothing's over till it's over. And that's kind of where we have to hope with the Bears right now. If they can win this game, it ain't over.
Yeah, and that's where just the confidence comes in. C.J. Stroud was a very confident quarterback last year, and you saw it in the back half of the season. And when your starting quarterback's feeling that good, and you're got a decent coaching staff, like, you feel like you go into every single game and you can win. I just don't think the mentality's there in the Chicago locker room right now. Like, I don't know if they have faith, certainly in their coaching staff, but even now, like, I'm questioning how they are feeling at this moment, with Caleb. So again, that's why I want to make the game as easy as possible for Caleb. Get the weird hitch that he has with these long throws, solved. And you get him a nice 300-yard game, give him 3 touchdowns or whatever, so people can start talking positively again about Caleb Williams. And, that's what's going to set the mood and set the tone for this back half of the schedule.
Yeah. All right, Sonny. What do you say we get out of here the only way we know how?
Bear down, Q.
Bear down.